Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start this video with a story about a woman who's been the sole breadwinner for years, supporting her husband, her own kids, and his adult children from a previous relationship. I've supported my husband's kids for years. Now they refuse to work. I'm a 50-year-old female with a lot of health issues, but always have been the breadwinner. My husband, John, 46-year-old male, has on and off jobs, more off than on. At the start of our relationship, we had an agreement. Since I had the education and job experience, we didn't want anybody else to raise our kids. At the time, he had 3 kids by somebody else. Jessica, 24-year-old female, Gracie and Jordan, 27, they're twins. My kids I had with him in our marriage are Taylor, 17-year-old female, and Charles, 19-year-old male. Both of my kids are still in school but have jobs. John and I have been married for almost 24 years. For the last 7 years, I've been taking care of all the kids. He decided that he wanted to cheat and step out of the marriage more than once. I always welcomed him back with open arms. I'm now realizing that I shouldn't have, but I did. Fast forward to now, I've still been taking care of all of his kids, and they refuse to get jobs except for the kids that I had. I want to say that they have a mom to take care of them, but she just didn't have the money to support them. I knew that I couldn't leave his older kids to be homeless, so I offered them a place to stay. They are disrespectful to this day. They smoked and drank all day and refused to help clean. I pay all the bills alone because my husband also doesn't have a job. My kids are in school and still have jobs, so I want to know what their excuse is. I can't take care of his older kids for the rest of their lives. My husband's saying that I'm wrong for pressuring them to get jobs. They live in the real world where you have to have a job to support themselves. I gave them the choice. They can either get a job or go back to school. Not college, they haven't finished high school. I tried everything I could to make them go back, but they didn't. I know that it's hard to get a job without a high school diploma, so I told them to go back to school or get a job. They don't want to work at a fast food place, but there aren't many options when you haven't finished high school. I pay over 4,200 bills, not including food. I spend over $400 in groceries a week, and mostly they're eating all of it because my kids will DoorDash food for themselves or eat out. I do realize that they grew up differently from how I raised my own kids, but I still think it's reasonable for them to get a job. All I'm asking for is $200 for rent. That's more than they spend on weed and drinking in a month. My husband's saying I'm the a-hole, but I need a different opinion. Edit. I see a lot of people talking about how when I got with him, he had another girl pregnant. Not true, I wasn't really counting, but we've been married exactly 22 years. I just rounded up. I had no problem with him having kids because he wasn't with the girl anymore. I got cancer at 16 and was told I couldn't have kids. I took his kids in as my own, even though the mother didn't like me. I ended up having 2 kids. It was a miracle to me. I also want to add that he's cheated multiple times, and his kids knew about it and were still staying with me. Me and my bio kids didn't know anything about the cheating until my daughter figured it out for herself and started to tell me things. A lot of y'all are asking why I didn't get a divorce sooner. At the beginning, I stated that I had a lot of health issues, and the week I told him I wanted a divorce, my health went really downhill. I spent months in the hospital. I just never got around to it because my health is still bad. These leeches need to go. Stop paying for anything that's specifically for them. Their cell phones, special foods or snacks they want, streaming channels just for them, whatever. The twins are nearly 30 years old. This is terribly enabling, and they're not going to cope in the future should anything happen to you guys. And our second story. Entitled buyer lowballs me, then tries to sue me? Not today, Karen. So this happened to me a few years ago. I'd bought an 18-inch tall steel king-size bed frame off Amazon roughly 2 years ago, and due to shoddy welds, the bed started to come apart. After calling warranty, a new frame was being sent out. My wife decided she really didn't like how tall the bed was. She's 5'3" and I'm 6'4", so she instead wanted me to build a new frame for us instead of using the replacement. In order to pay for the materials, I decided I was going to list the bed on Facebook Marketplace for $100 because Amazon had it for $140, and I put up a snapshot showing as much. Within 3 hours, I received a message. CB. Hi, is the frame still available, and are you flexible on price? Me. Yes, it is, and you are free to make me an offer. CB. $25. Me. Sorry, no, this frame's normally $140, like I said in the post, and it's new in the box. $100's a fair price. CB, what's the lowest you'll go? Side rant, I hate this question. I'm not about to lowball myself and will always respond with the original asking price, but you can make a reasonable offer. I won't bore you with the back and forth, but we eventually settled at $75, and she'd be there that day with a truck and a friend because this was a large, heavy box. True to her word, she showed up at my house an hour later, and I met her in the garage where the frame was stored. Me. Hi, so here's the frame. As I said, it's new in the box. CB. This isn't the same frame as in the picture. Me. I assure you it is. I then pull out my phone and show her it's the same one. CB. Well, because I don't believe this is the same frame, would you take $50? Me. No, we agreed on $75. CB. I know, but I don't think it's worth the $75. How about $60? Me getting annoyed. You're right. It's worth more than the $75. I only agreed to that price to cover the cost of building my new bed. CB. I can do $70, but I have to keep the extra $5 because I had to drive so far out to meet you. I asked where she drove from, and it was a whopping 7 miles away. Me, frustrated and ready to be done with this. Okay, fine. If keeping the $5 is what it takes to be done, I'll take the $70. It's at this point that I looked over to what she drove as I asked where her help was. Sitting on the side of the road was one of those Aztec wannabe trucks. Me. So where's your help? CB. Oh, I just figured you'd be willing to load it for me. You're so big. Me. Sure, it'll cost you $10. CB. What? That's outrageous. You'd do that to a single mother? I was waiting for this to be said. I run a consignment store and need as much money as I can to support my son and I. Me. I'm sorry, ma'am, but the ad clearly stated that you'd need to bring help and a truck. I'm not even sure how you're going to load it in that thing. CB tries to lift the frame by herself and almost topples over. Huff, huff. Fine, here's the $10. I hope you're happy that you've stolen food out of my son's mouth. I hoisted the frame up and somehow managed to get it loaded into her truck. The entire time she kept saying that I was ripping her off and that if I damaged her car, she'd sue me. Before I loaded the frame, I took a picture of her tailgate just to cover myself while she wasn't looking. Better safe than sorry because there was several scratches along the top ridge. Sure enough, 5 days later, I receive a handwritten note with proof from her attorney saying that I damaged the tailgate and that they'll see me in court unless I agree to pay $85 to have it repaired. I contacted her through Facebook again, showing the picture I'd taken myself with the timestamp showing all the damage that was in her picture. She blocked me, and I haven't heard anything since. Interesting. I've never heard of an attorney ever suing for a measly $85. Now, where did I hear the $85 from again? Something like 75 plus 10 or 70 plus 10, and I bet she added $5 for the ink, paper, and postage. And our last story. I am the new owner. I started working in construction when I was 15. School never interested me at all. My parents were constantly being called in, and as I see it now, the teachers were more or less subtly hinting that I was an idiot, LOL. So my father decided to teach me a lesson. He took me to work to show me what hard labor really was. My father had his own construction company, not very large. He personally supervised one of the crews. He thought that this would show me the difficulties of real work. I actually liked it more than going to school, plus I was getting paid, so I got into it. Meanwhile, school dragged me down. My grades couldn't have been worse. My father was angry, but he still gave me a chance to study at home and also work part-time with his crew. A few years went by, and I was already in charge of small projects. When I was 23, everything suddenly changed. My father had a heart attack and decided to retire. I became the new owner. At first, I wanted to see for myself what was happening on our construction sites. I was especially interested in the worst-performing crew, the one that was falling behind in every possible metric. It was known that discipline there was poor and the turnover rate was high. I decided to show up unannounced, dressed in normal construction clothes to see everything from the inside and introduce myself to the supervisor afterward. I arrive, it's a construction site for a cafe, a huge unfinished building surrounded by concrete, bricks, and dirt. I head to the trailer that serves as the crew's break room and office. I walk in and immediately catch the strong smell of booze. Standing by the table is an unfamiliar man with a red face with a few empty bottles lying around. One of the workers mumbles, "That's our foreman." The guy turns to me and starts shouting, "Who the hell are you? Why did you drag yourself in here?" I wanted to answer, but didn't have time. Another moron, he snarls. "My rule is, if you're late, I cut your pay. If you mouth off, I cut your pay too. Right now, I'm deciding what to do with you because there's plenty of work and I don't need slackers." I notice his eyes are cloudy, must have been drinking since morning. Two workers in the corners of the trailer quietly eat their sandwiches watching us. They obviously have no respect for the foreman, but they stay silent. "Look," I say, "I'd like to see the documentation calculations, the work plan. Maybe we need additional materials or tools." "Have you lost your mind?" he screeches. "What plan? What's it to you? You're a nobody here. Get going to the boiler room and sweep up, or I'll kick your butt. Anyway, why are you talking back?" Obviously, he doesn't understand who he's dealing with. He thinks I'm just some laborer. I sense the others are waiting to see how it ends, but I'm not going to put up with his swearing and insults. "Let's cut the rudeness," I say. "I came here for a reason. Can we talk normally?" "Oh, you," the foreman takes 2 steps forward and grabs me by the collar. "You think you can teach me? I'm the boss here. Got it?" That really sets me off. I quickly free myself from his grip and push him back. He almost loses his balance. Then he flies into a rage. "Guys, help me force this idiot to get to work." The workers don't move. They just shrug like, not our problem. The foreman lunges at me, but I dodge and twist his arm behind his back in one move. Now he's pinned against the table and can't move. "That's enough," I say. "From this moment on, you're fired. I'm the new owner of the company. My father stepped away from the business, and now I'm in charge here. Coming to work drunk is prohibited, and yelling at or hitting employees even more so. And if you still haven't realized it, I make the rules in this company." He freezes in shock. Just seconds ago, he thought he could bully people at will, and now it turns out this random guy's actually the boss. He swears under his breath, muttering things like, "That's not fair," and "You'll pay for this." But I ignore him. I let him go, and he pulls himself up by the chair. He pushes the door open and stomps out of the trailer, rattling empty bottles. A new worker appears in the doorway. He looks at me, then at the door. "Excuse me, I need to talk to the foreman." "Now you'll talk to me," I say. "I'm the owner of this company. The foreman's fired. From now on, there'll be different rules and different people here. If you're ready to work without that drunken mess, you can stay." The guy agrees. The other workers nod. They all look noticeably calmer. I realized discipline here was at 0, and they'd wanted to get rid of the foreman for a long time, but were afraid of the consequences. Now there's nothing to fear. I take out my phone and call the office to finalize his dismissal and send over a decent specialist. Then I address the crew. "We're going to follow a proper schedule from now on. Let's try to get this site back to normal performance levels. If you need extra equipment or materials, let me know. But there'll be no more drinking on the job or rudeness. Deal?" They all agree. That's how I officially began the new stage of running the company. And although there are plenty of challenges ahead, at least I can see that with these people I can restore order and bring the firm to a better position. Wow, what an insane story. I love how you handled that situation. Total boss move, literally. Also, I hope the foreman will learn to respect people. Now he has a lot of free time to do so. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.